outline for today, we're going to talk about our musky resource in Ottawa and how lucky we are to be in perhaps the greatest musky city in the world. We have access to the greatest musky fisheries in the world within 90 minutes from here. So we'll talk about that, basic musky biology, the annual pattern of muskies. They want to do the same thing every year. If you're an angler, you need to know what that is in order to take advantage of it. We're going to talk about technology. The best thing you can have in your boat to help you catch fish these days, other than a really good guide, is technology. And it changes year by year. So I'll tell you some stories about the latest technology. We're going to talk about putting follows in the boat. Because in musky fishing, we catch 40 to 50% of our fish right there at our feet. The craziest 45 or 60 seconds that you can have in freshwater fishing is that 4-foot fish coming into the boat hot, turning it in a circle 3 times, setting the hook, and all hell breaks loose. It's uncontrolled, and we fish all day for that 1 minute. Musky guy will fish 10 hours, and if he has that 1 minute, what a great day that was. You know, and it'll live on. So we got a couple of videos from this year that young Noah is involved in. We got a few that went viral online. Involving fish at the side of the boat. So we'll give you some lessons on that, and then we're going to go over some of our favorite baits, some of the baits that work to put fish in the boat around here. Thanks to Master Promotions, the people who run this show and who've invested in making the fishing area bigger and bigger, and the seminar speakers that we've had here. I already said thanks to Big Jim. Greg Emile just got up and talked and gave a salmon presentation. I came in with Noah to watch it. One of the best speakers there is, the best salmon guide in the province, the best guy I know on the for walleye on the Bay of Quinte. Just great to be a part of that. Ashley Ray, who you see walking around, 200,000 social media followers. She's here, she's speaking after me. There's a reason for that. She's famous here. She's more famous in the States. So if you want to learn, let her be part of that. And the progression 50 years ago when I came to this show, bass, 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 bass. And now, I think there's 6 or 7 musky speakers here. There's more musky presentations than anything else. And that's because Ottawa is about muskies. How good are we? Every direction that I point, if I go around in a circle, the farthest I could go is 90 minutes without finding muskies. Within 90 minutes, I'd be on the very best fisheries in the world. Lake St. Francis out of Cornwall, Lake of Two Mountains, the Lower Ottawa River, 3 of the top 3 or 4 or 5 fisheries on the planet. Not to mention everything else that we have around here. Just in this direction here, 7 minutes to the Jock River, to the Rideau River at the airport. We have 25 fish with transmitters in the Jock River right now, being studied by Muskies Canada. We have 25 more in the Rideau at the airport. We have a bunch in the Petawawa River from our latest study. So every direction, everywhere you go, there's muskies. It's not like that everywhere else. We're truly blessed if you're muskies. Upper Ottawa, Arn Pryor and beyond. This is Noah with a 53 from last year. 54, 55 is the biggest fish I heard of from that area. Lower Ottawa, I have a video of a 58-inch fish. Okay, those are top end, biggest fish in the world. Lake of Two Mountains also produced a 58-inch fish this year. The biggest fish recorded in the world last year, recorded, because there are guys who fish secretly, 59¼ inches, caught out of Cornwall. Biggest fish anywhere. And for me, the most impressive fish, we got fish up to this big last year, but the most special fish that we caught is this one right here. This is a tiger muskie. This is a cross between a muskie and a pike. It's about 6 years old, 35 inches long. We didn't measure it maybe. That's Lansdowne Park. That's Fifth Avenue, the Canal Ritz on Fifth Avenue. That fish is in the canal. There were about 9 of those all 35, 36 inches that I know of that were caught out of the canal this year. There's a year class thing that happened about 6 years ago where they spawned. I wouldn't have told anybody about that fish 10 or 15 years ago because that would have been a secret. You learned about fish because you caught them, because you saw them, because guys in Musky Canada told you about them, but you kept your secrets. And so the fish of 10,000 casts isn't the fish of 10,000 casts anymore. You can drop your learning curve by coming to seminars, by joining Musky Canada, by going online. There aren't that many secrets anymore. The information is all available. And so that fish at 35, 36 inches, the most special fish, the most beautiful fish. It's a sterile fish as well. Not capable of reproducing. Okay, it's a one-off. And in the States, they stock muskies into about 40 states. And they stock tigers into more places than anywhere else. Because they have problems like goldfish taking over lakes. You can buy a dozen goldfish cheaper than you can buy a dozen minnows. So how could that go bad when they get into a lake? So like in New Mexico, they stock tiger muskies to eat all the goldfish, reclaim lakes. And then wherever they stock tiger muskies, people start liking fishing for muskies. And so there becomes a community and it grows from there. But Rideau Canal tiger, one of the prettiest fish that swims. Why are we so good in and around Ottawa? 10,000 years ago, all the muskies in the world were at the mouth of the Mississippi River. I used to have, that's an old slide, I had the Gulf of America. That name didn't stick. I think it only lasted a week or two, but they were in the Gulf of Mexico. You know where I'm talking about. At the mouth of the Mississippi River. And as the Ice Age receded, they came up the Mississippi and spread through the Great Lakes and into the Ottawa River and all the tributaries that flow into the Great Lakes. And that's the original home range of the muskellunge. In the Ottawa, around here, the St. Lawrence, the Ottawa, phenomenal populations. But then something happened that we did that made the Ottawa the incredible fishery that it is. 13 dams on the Ottawa River, starting in 1916 up till the late 50s. And we control the water level on the river every year. And that's an important thing. We didn't realize it at the time, but most musky fisheries, you have a good year to spawn, and then you have a bad year, the water's low, and then the water's really high, then it's bad, and then you have another good year. So you have year classes of fish, mixed in with some bad years. In the Ottawa River, we manage that water level to feed the St. Lawrence so that water is just the right height for the boats that go through. And so our muskies want to spawn in the same location every single year. Not just in the bay, in the corner of the bay. And they get really good at it. They live for 30 or 35 years. And so we created a fishery that was made for constant recruitment. It's called. Every year is a good year. The spawn is successful every year. You have new fish every single year. And when your fish live to 35 years, we have tons of big fish. We have genetics to grow the biggest fish in the world in the Ottawa River, and we have big numbers of fish. So that's how we got this fishery around here. We're just lucky. And then we have a lot of people that look after the fishery around here. I don't know if you realize that, but this fishery around here is managed. This fishing community is educated. There are a whole lot of people who work on water quality, work on making sure that you're aware of how special muskies are and how to take care of them. If you want to learn about muskies, the best thing you could do of all is go over and join Muskies Canada. Come to a meeting, it's free. We have over 100 members in Ottawa. We meet once a month. We have 5 or 6 outings a year. It's easy to find fishing partners. All the freaks are in the club. The guys who spent 50 days in a row out on the water a couple times last year, the guides, the biologists, the lure makers, and it's a community. It's a really great place. And if you just want to come to the Legion and learn stuff and have a pop, it's really cheap pop there. If you want to participate in cutting edge research, like putting transmitters on fish with teams of biologists, following them around, shoreline restoration, abatement projects, cutting edge citizen science, whatever you want to do. I couldn't recommend more than joining Muskies Canada. I got to mention Cook Labs, Dr. Stephen Cook. If you don't know what Cook Labs is, we are so lucky in this city to have Dr. Stephen Cook in Cook Labs at Carleton University. He's a world-renowned fisheries biologist. And we run more muskie research out of Ottawa than any place in the world. Like I said, we got fish with transmitters in the Jock River, in the Rideau, and in Petawawa. We've been doing transmitter work on the Ottawa since 1994. It's people looking after the fish, protecting the fish. Dr. Sean Landsman, incredible biologist as well, specialist. If you don't know who the Riverkeeper organization is, go home and look it up. Those people have our back. They hold our governments, our communities, our construction people to making sure that water quality is maintained, that there's no spills, there's no poison, that green algae is monitored. We're really lucky to have them. And we have people like Lawrence Gunther and Bluefish Canada, that booth right there. He's a private guy who he promotes sustainable fishing, education, just because he loves it. And so all of that happens around here. It's not an accident that we have this. And then we run a summer camp called Ottawa Fish School. We have 216 kids that are coming to our summer camp this year. This is Hedrick Wachalka, one of the smartest guys ever in Canada for muskies. This is a muskie skull from Dow's Lake, 51.5 inches long. It was found dead on the shore in a year where they had winter kill. There were 13 dead muskies, 2 of them over 50 inches in Dow's Lake. So we tell the story to the kids. There's no phones. There's total attention. There's no talking. There's total attention to this. The kids absolutely love it. So, the muskies in Dow's Lake, on a good day, we catch over 200 fish out of Dow's Lake with our 18 kids. It's a heck of a place, in the middle of the city. Basic biology, muskies live to 30 or 35 years even in Canada in the Northern Hemisphere. In Ohio and Pennsylvania, where I've done a lot of talking, muskies live to 12 or 13 years. 90% of their fish are stocked. Some muskies get caught multiple times in their life. 2 years ago, Noah caught a 52-inch muskie twice, 6 weeks apart. That's the closest frequency I know to a big fish being caught. But some fish get caught over and over. We did a study about 10 years ago where the biggest fish, or a 48.5-inch fish in that study, was caught 3 times in the same year. There were 55 fish captured. One fish was caught 3 times on the same style of bait, but there were only 5 other recaptures. 49 of the other fish weren't recaptured, and through subsequent years, more than half of that group wasn't recaptured. So in that group, there's some fish that get caught regularly. There's fish that never get caught their whole life. All the big fish are females. Okay? That's why we take especially good care of our big fish. There's 6 fish in the muskie family: muskie, pike, grass pickerel, chain pickerel, long-nosed pickerel, and short-nosed pickerel. Okay, muskies are only in North America. And here's the one point you should take away from this. In Canada, we are a wild fish fishery. There is no stocking of muskies. I built my business guiding Americans, and every single week I would hear somebody say, "Man, John, that is the hardest fish, the hardest fighting muskie I've ever had on my line." And it's being an experienced fisherman, and that's because you can't make it stronger, more resilient, better than wild. The other thing is you need to take care of wild. Okay, our fishery is self-sustaining up here. In Ohio, they can grow a 48.5-inch fish in 5 years. They can destroy a fishery and rebuild it to have 48.5-inch fish in 5 years. In Canada, that 48.5-inch fish is probably 17 years old, somewhere around here, and we can't stock. We can't rebuild. We have wild, we have better, but we have to take care of it. So I'll come back to that in a minute or two. The annual cycle. This is important if you're a muskie fisherman. You need to know this. I told you muskies spawn in the same bay every year and in the corner of the bay. for 35 years. And then they're going to recuperate near where they spawn, and then they're going to head off to a summer home range. When they spawn at 55 degrees, 12 or 13 degrees Celsius, when they're done spawning, they recuperate. When the water gets over 60 degrees, they head off to their home range. Some of them swim a kilometer or two. Some of them swim 35 or 40 kilometers. Okay? They make that same run every single year. And then in the fall, when the water falls below 60 again, they start to meander back near where they spawned, and they stage for the winter. That same run happens every year. So if I know where they spawn, I know there's fish near those spawning beds when the season opens. If I catch a 48-inch fish near a spawning bed close to opening day, that fish is going to be in that area. That fish is 16, 17 years old around here. I got another 14 years of maybe catching that fish in that area. Might not see it for 3, 4, 5 years, might never catch it again, but it's there, and I can go fish for it. I have that one in the bank, and I know. And so if I find one in August on a weed bed in the middle of the river, that fish is on its summer home range, and it's on a bed that it hunts on, that it feeds on. It rests in that area, it feeds in that area, and I know if that fish is 48 or 50 now, it's 50 inches long. Even if I don't see it for a few more years, it's there. Absolutely, it's there. So we keep logs as musky fishermen. We write it all down. We write down especially when we don't catch fish, because not catching fish is part of musky fishing. We're lucky. We catch fish about 70% of the time around here. That is a huge success number in the musky world. I know Americans that are fisheries, 100 hours per fish, and they still go. We're spoiled here. We're really spoiled. So understanding that annual cycle is important. Keeping logs, keeping what temperature the water was, where you caught that fish. And if you got a 48-inch fish one year on a spot in the spring, and the next year you get a 48.5-inch fish, take those two photos and look at the belly, look where the white meets the belly, and blow it up in the same area, and it's the same fish. And you'll be surprised at how often that happens. I got the same fish 3 times off the same weed bed in 5 years, 50.5, 51, didn't see it for 2 years, 51.5, 52.5 the third time. You're growing about a ½ inch, 1/4 of an inch at the end of their life. Another thing on annual cycles is bait fish. When you go fishing in the fall, you start to see your bait fish form up in schools and groups. That's forever. Those bait fish form up at that same temperature, and they form up in the same place, off the current, every single year. Emerald shiners. In the Ottawa River, there's over 90 species of fish. Emerald shiners are the shiners you buy a dozen of before you go walleye fishing. They're this big. They run the river. They run the Ottawa River. If you find emerald shiners, you find muskies. Because everybody eats emerald shiners, and muskies eat everybody. So it's a really good relationship that way. So in the fall, I can tell you right now, I can go out on the river and tell you where all the emerald shiners will be. And I'll be there too. I'll be fishing around them, because around those schools of bait fish, they're stationary, and in the fall, like as musky guys, we love structure, weeds, rocks, but in the fall, bait fish is better structure than structure is. And it's the same from year to year. So you got young guys, start writing it down. Start taking pictures of the background where you find your schools, and it's forever. You got fish forever. You got a lot of good years to catch fish in. So understanding that annual cycle is really important. With that annual cycle, most people consider fall prime time for muskies. My favorite time to fish is post-spawn. Spawn happens in the spring, ideally the end of May, very start of June at the latest. Fish have a week or two to recover, and the season opens. Doesn't always happen like that, but that post-spawn bite, those fish are looking to eat. Nobody's been fishing for them for a long time, and they make mistakes. And so we get some 50s, usually every year, in that post-spawn bite. It's nice and warm. There's not a lot of weeds on the surface, not a lot of bugs. It's a good time to be out there. September. If there's one month, I run a November meeting for Muskies Canada. Every year we learn as a group, 50 people. What was your best lure, your best month, your best week, or what, you know, as a group. And typically the biggest fish every year is caught in the afternoon, late afternoon in September. It's amazing how many years that happens. That fall, that feed bag, the fish, it starts getting cold the end of August, and that feed bag turns on. And those big fish are putting on a half a pound or a pound a week from the end of August till the beginning of November. As the eggs grow in the females, till 1/3 of the body weight is eggs. And that's why you see musky fishermen going out in November and December. You look and say, damn, that's crazy, man. I'm standing here with my couch with my remote control, gonna watch Bob Azuni. It's a much better idea, but the biggest, fattest muskies we can get, that world record fish, is gonna come after the first week in November, in theory. So that's why we're out there. Another thing about biology for our fish, muskies are more reactive to the moon than any other fish that's out there. Absolutely. Full moons and new moons, all the first days that we sell out are full moons and new moons. In truth, we have great days. I like the new moon much more than the full moon. I have a guy who's hired me for every full moon and new moon for about 15 years. And honestly, his catch rates are no better than other days. Because weather trumps the moon. Weather always trumps the moon. But the way to use the moon, if you're a musky guy, is on a daily basis. Your majors and your minors. Your moon directly overhead, your moon directly on the other side of the world. 2-hour window, about 2 hours on either side of that period, where your fish are more likely to be active. Before I can even go out, I can tell you when we're most likely to catch fish. When your moon rise and your moon set happens. Those are your minors. You got about an hour period each, right there. And so how do I use that if I'm a guide? I'm out fishing the first half of the day. I saw 2 fish, and now I got a major that comes up about 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm going back to where I saw the 2 fish. Or I'm going to that spot where I know there's a 50. Even though I haven't seen it yet this year, I know it's around. You know, it's in the area. So understanding that moon, really big deal. Really big deal for us. I mentioned that weather is the greatest peak of all. I should just say, first of all, musky activity is they're least active in the morning, and they're most active at sunset. So this is the sleep in late, catch more fish. That's why I'm a musky guy. We start a lot of our days, we're going out at 1:30 in July. What? You want to go out at 1:30? Yeah, come by the house at 1:30. But we're going to finish at 9:30, 9:45. We're going to stay out for 45 minutes after the sun goes down. Because that hour before sunset and that 45 minutes after, statistically, that's the most active time for muskies. And just about every fish, catchability is related to activity. Fish that are moving eat stuff. They have a purpose. So that's our go time. It's late at night. Let's talk about technology. This fish is last fish I caught last year, November 29th. I stripped down out of my survival suit and took off my toque so that I could display my Shimano jersey, because I'm a proud Shimano guy, but it is friggin' cold out there. I can tell you that right now. So I'm on Lake of Two Mountains. I went down and we trolled for 20 hours. I don't own a live scope. I haven't owned one before, but I'm fishing with 2 guys who are really dialed into live scope, and we are high-end trolling, man. We are zigging and zagging. We're varying our speeds. We are watching bottom. We are watching bait fish. We are zoned in, man. We have one guy who's just intensely staring at the screen. And so in 2 days, 20 hours, we trolled 3 baits. With live scope, I've got a bait 60, 70, and 80 feet back. I'm watching all 3 of them in the water column behind the boat. The guy's looking at the screen. There's one. We watch a fish come off the bottom. The fish goes, it's behind that. And we pull the rod out, the fish is behind, and we play it. We start to play it, and we watch the fish on the finder. And we play it, and we play it. We engaged 8 fish. We had 5 fish hit baits. We landed 3. 4 of the fish, 1 fish just came up and creamed the bait. But 4 of the fish that hit, we watched them come off the bottom. There it is. That rod, pull it out, play it. 1 of the fish, there it is, that rod, pulled it out, played it. Watch it, it's gone. It's over on that rod. Quick, pulled the second rod out, played it. No, it's over on that rod again. Played it for another 30 seconds. Boom, hooked it. There's the result. Technology fish. 30 years ago when I was a musky fisherman, I didn't have technology in my boat. I'm old, man. I learned the river by fishing. I knew there was a muskie there because I caught it, I saw it. Somebody in Muskies Canada told me it was there. That was it. And now, 30 years later, I leave the dock, I turn on my side imaging, and I see there's one. 45 feet that way, it's 4 feet off the bottom, so it's probably active. If it was laying on the bottom, it's probably inactive. Not much use in fishing for it, but it's up off the bottom, so I'm gonna cast, I'm gonna hit it in the head. Wow, what a difference. What a difference. There were 300 musky fishermen in the 90s. There's over 3,000 now. We weren't on the map in the 90s. Everybody knows how good we are now. 10 times, 15 times more fishermen, and your ability to find fish is 50 or 100 times better. So technology is really awesome if you're a fisherman. LiveScope's been out for 5 years. If you're an apex predator, all the gray-haired people in the musky world are scared. Because now you can find fish that you couldn't find before in open water, in deep water, where it's not safe to catch fish, below 20, 22, maybe 26 or 28 feet in the late fall. And now you're gonna give that tool to people who are gonna see the biggest fish of their life at 45 and 50 and 60 feet and rely on us gray-haired people who've seen fisheries come and go. I told you fisheries come and go. The greatest musky fishery in the world of all time is Gananoque. Best genetics. It's on life support. And it's in my lifetime, it's on life support. It's only supported by stocking range because of gobies, because things change, and because there's a lot of money in Syracuse University and a biologist who cares. So the greatest musky fishery in the world is on life support. That's how things change. And so this technology is scary. It's really useful. It's going to catch you fish, but just watch. And wild fish fisheries, listen, I'm preachy, but I'll just be preachy for 15 seconds. What we have is wild fish fisheries. That's the strongest fish I ever had on. Yeah, it is. It is. And it's only created in a wild fish fishery. And we can't stock in Canada. We can't even produce. We can't reproduce eggs. We don't have hatcheries. We can't rebuild fisheries. We're not structured that way. So if they disappear, you can't rebuild them. So just watch that in the next couple of years. Good tool, great for bass, great for all fish, but really bad for an apex predator. The last thing I'll say on that, we do a Suic lure company. I've been on their pro staff. This is a lure that's from Wisconsin. It's been around from the 50s. Incredible musky lure. And so we do the Suic seminar series the first Monday of every month. We had Steve Heiding on as a guest last month. Steve's the editor of Musky Hunter magazine for 27 years. Influenced more people in the musky world in a positive way to take care of the resource, to catch more muskies. And when we were meeting with Steve before the show about what we wanted to talk about, I said, Steve, I want to talk about LiveScope. And he said, John, I don't want to talk about LiveScope. It's a red light. It's a flashing red light for me. He's really scared and he's already gone ballistic. And the young people think it's the greatest tool of all because you can catch more fish. But the gray-haired people are really worried about fisheries. You know, if you stock in the States, if you stock fisheries, great. Stock more, catch more, man. It's awesome tourism. But if you have wild fish fisheries, it's a worry. The best thing that we can teach you as guides is to catch fish at the side of the boat. How to finish at the side of the boat, because we catch 40 to 50% of our fish there now. That's something we taught fish. In the 80s and 90s, 5% of our fish were caught at the side of the boat. The muskies up here hadn't seen lures, and they hadn't all been caught. And so when they saw it, oh man, they just creamed it. It was great. And then from us hunting them and us chasing them, we've taught them to be a lot more cautious about how they hunt, and now they hunt at the side of the boat. We created that behavior. We're the biggest danger to the muskies, is us. Just keep that in mind. So, to turn them at the side of the boat is really an art. This guy is really good at it, and he's got a couple of videos he's going to show you. The first one that's just a wow, So, Noah Oliveira Hill, you want to step aside?
Oh, hello. All right. First, I'll tell you a bit about me. 23 years old. Been addicted to muskies since I was 12. My guiding career began when I was 14. Last year was my first year working with the Musky Factory, and this year I'll be head guide at the Musky Factory. So yeah, it's a bit about me, and I got 2 cool videos for you. Hold on. Same issues yesterday.
As much fisherman technology is not our strong suit. I can tell you that. Musky fishing tractor, the last adopter of new technology in the world. Neat little lure innovation coming out like a twisty tail. We watch the past guys on the bottom guys, all like this. 20 years ago. No, this is probably get some deals. Just make them this big.
Sorry, bear with me, guys. Yeah. Okay, there we go. I got it. All right. So here, this is the first video. Usually when muskies follow to the boat, it's because they're following our lure. However, this is something we usually don't see. This muskie actually comes up to the boat just to check me out. My bait was way out there, and I look down and I see a muskie right at my feet. So if you pay attention, right around here, give it about 10 seconds, you'll see a fish come in. And you'll see that I see it. Right there. So I see that fish go down, my bait's out there, and I come in and I do my finish at the side of the boat. And it's not like that fish followed my bait in and then lost interest. It just came up and checked me out. So I actually worked my bait around the side of the boat for about 45 seconds, and I didn't see that fish. But I knew she was around, and I knew that she would maybe gain interest in my bait once she saw it. So I'm just dancing my glide bait around. There she is. she came up. So I was out fishing myself. If you've ever caught a muskie by yourself, you know it's hard to net it, right? That's my dog Toka. He loves muskies, and he's always in my way. Nearly impossible to net a fish with him.
How you filming that?
We have a camera on a pole, and it's a 360 camera, so it can actually shoot. It shoots all the way around the boat. Then after in the editing software, I can take what angle it wants to see. So you can see that the camera is actually moving while I'm fighting that fish. That was me afterwards editing the videos, going from that side of the boat, then to that side of the boat. So yeah, so this year, we're gonna have even a higher pool, which will allow us to see even more. Pretty cool, yeah. So yeah, that was the first video. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I'll add something to that. Had it actually followed my bait in, I would have kept doing my circles, and I wouldn't have gone probably that long. I would have then cast it back out at that fish in the direction that it went. But it wasn't engaged in my bait, and it didn't swim off fast, so I didn't think it was far, so dancing that bait around the side of the boat, I was assuming it was gonna come back neat. All right, top water. Top water is my favorite way to catch muskies. And when you get a top water follow, it's really cool because it's right at the surface and you can actually see a wave coming in behind your bait. So you'll see here, I cast out and about halfway through, you'll see a wave form up. Oh, there we go. So right away, I'm like, there's a fish behind my bait. All right, I'm gonna pause this quick. I'm gonna speed my bait up. I want that fish to bite away from the boat because the chances of actually getting a good hook set and landing that fish, it's a lot easier when it's out further than at the side of the boat. You hook a 30 or 40 pound fish with only 12 inches of line out, things can go wrong. So I adjust my speed. That didn't get the fish to go. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to change the direction of my bait. So I actually bring my rod tip to the right, and then I come in and do my circle, and that's when that fish ate the bait. Set the hook.
You gotta know what keeps this rod down. You have to lift this rod up, keep this rod down, and even in the water while it's fighting that. You lift that rod up, let this mouth open, it starts shaking, something breaks, something rips, and fish hooks come out. You remember that picture. Yes, sir. It was this rod. That's all you have.
And we all learn the hard way. So yeah, that was the first fish there on the glide bait. About a 45, 46 inch fish. There's Toka in the back. And then that was the second fish. That was also about a 45, 46 inch female. So yeah, those are the videos.
Fantastic. Well done. Good job. I'll give you a couple of tips on finishing at the side of the boat, because for us in muskie, well, that's what it's out a lot. Muskie rods have gotten longer and longer and longer. When I was young, 5.5 feet, 6 feet was a long muskie rod. 9, 9.5, 10, even up to 12 feet now. They don't fit in your truck. They don't fit in your boat most of the time, and so we use telescopic rods a lot. Generally at least 9 feet. The 9 foot, 9 feet rods let you cast way easier. It's just physics. They let you fish with your back straight up in the air, which is way better than doing this. Because over a day, you're gonna throw 400, 500, 600 casts. And so if you're doing that, it's a longevity sport. So the long rod is really important for casting and for working the big baits. The other thing that this does for us is the circles at the side of the boat. I tease my American guests. Like, first thing we do when we have guests out is we teach them about finishing in the side of the boat. And we're hoping that they get one chance. At that one chance later in the day with that big fish, and instead of going, huh, and freezing or pulling their bait up, did you see that? Did you? Yeah, that was your chance. That's what we were coaching you on earlier in the day. And so the big rods, I say to my guests, big fish, my American guests, you're fishing for Canadian muskies, Canadian-sized muskies. Big fish can't turn sharp circles. So the term figure eight, throw it away. Big ovals, really big ovals at the side of the boat. And if you have some room on your front deck, you can use that whole area. And don't give up on a fish. 40, 45 seconds is not too long to keep finishing on a fish. And if I write a musky book, it'll probably be called The Third Circle. And that's because we finish, a lot of people come in, do a figure eight, and they're back to an X cast. For us, it's really having a good look in the water, especially in dirty water or in the dark. Muskies are a sight predator, first and foremost. They're the fastest swimming fish in fresh water. They also have an incredible lateral line down the side of their body, so much so that in dirty water or in the dark, tests at the University of Minnesota years ago showed that they still hit fish in the head or targets in the head 19 out of 20 times. So that lateral line is really good. They just can't get on it as fast. And so your water's brown, you can't see. Your 3 circles lets them line it up. In the dark, your 3 circles lets them line it up. So that's a really good tip to pass on. The other thing I'll say that technology lets you do is we see virtual follows now that we never saw. And that's your guest is casting and he brings his bait in and you're watching the screen and you go, there's a fish in behind your bait. It's on your bait at the side of the boat. You see it? No. Don't stop. Keep going. It's still there. And you've got your guest turning circles and they're looking in the water and they don't see anything. Do you see it? It's there. It flashed again. Do you see it? No. It's a fish that's down low. That's coming up, taking a look, taking a shot. And we've had fish flash 12 or 15 times that we're watching on a screen. And we're getting really excited. And the guest is the guy just jacking me, man? He's saying, I can't see anything. There's nothing going on. But no, those are virtual follows, and it's part of learning your technology in the modern day. And it's another way that we access fish and we never accessed before. You see them on the screen, even though you don't see them in the water. So finishing at the side of the boat, a really big deal for us. It's 2:15. I always talk too long at the shows, but that's okay. They're used to that, and it's the last day, so they can take us out of here kicking and screaming. We just showed you 2 presentations that we really like to use. That topwater presentation, man, that's the most fun you can have fishing. Topwater bait's probably the best bait, only about 15 or 20% of the time, but it catches a higher percentage of big fish. And it's just fun seeing them blow up on that. This bait right here, double-bladed bucktail, invented by a housewife in Wisconsin about 25 years ago. Original bait was called a cowgirl. She took 2 blades, intertwined them with clevises that are in a way that had never been done before. That puts off a vibration and a signature in the water that changed the musky world. It seems like a way bigger bait, a way bigger object in the water by the amount of water it's pushing than it is. And the muskies just love it. And so for 25 years, that's produced more muskies than anything else. The fish are getting used to it, and it's not producing quite as well as it used to, but still our #1 producer. In terms of color, there's an old rule in the musky world that says you can use any color you want as long as it's black. Black and orange, black and chartreuse, black and silver, 3 absolute basics in the musky world. Stuff like this, your blue sky, sunny days, You need a disco ball. You need as bright and reflective a bait as you can possibly have. So your golds absolutely do it. Your inlines, produce number one. These are baits that we make. We have the Musky Factory Bait Company. This is a version of the Musky spinner bait. It's got a free floating head. It's also got treble hooks. A lot of spinner baits are made to be weedless. For us, it's about the hook set. About keeping a fish that's pinned, that's on. I mentioned the Suick Lure Company earlier. This was invented in the 1950s in Wisconsin by a guy who owns a trout farm. And he noted that when trout got sick in his pond, they would float to the surface. They would try and dive down, and they would float back up, and they would do this. And that's the international symbol in fishing that there's somebody who's wounded and you should go eat them if you're a predator fish. And so no matter what you fish for, a wounded fish on the surface, it's just easy, and that will work. And so it looks like a hockey stick with a little piece of metal on the back. It's exactly the same lure since the 50s. Everybody works it different. All it does is catch fish. That's one of our very best producers. I gave this one to Noah, pretty new at the start of last summer. So you can see it's got more than a few fish on it. Different version of a bucktail, marabou, huge blades. We'll break that out in the fall. The Frankensuit, you got a Frankensuit there? In the fall, we upsize everything. That's probably our best producing bait. 14-inch Suick, dives down to about 6 feet. It's almost neutral buoyancy, floats up, rises so slow. One mistake that people make in the fall a lot is they fish fast, too fast. Musky guys know how to fish fast and faster, especially in the fall. Your fish are not fast. You gotta rest a bait, pause baits. You gotta let baits float up and rise around your fish that are sitting around a school of emerald shiners. So that's a perfect weighted bait for that. The other big invention in the musky world is soft plastics, baits with tails. I mentioned we watched the twister tail world. So this is a bait I haven't had it go off yet, but I trolled it. I put a modification on the front. I trolled this on a short line off the side of my boat late in the fall. This tail right here changed the musky world. It started with the bulldogs in the 90s. And the neat thing about this is they handed them out and they didn't give any instructions. So everybody everywhere looked at this and went, wow, what are we going to do with that? And everybody figured out different ways to fish it. The guys in fishing on Lake St. Clair, deepest spot on Lake St. Clair is about 18 feet. So they love to cast these out and rip them and cover a whole lot of the water column, about 10 or 12 feet. They rip them up and down, so they cover a good portion of the 18 feet of the column. They're really active, and on their musky rods, they have handles on the side to facilitate that. What I like to do with this, you can pull pause it like a jerkbait. That's a really good routine, but for me, I like tough conditions, blue skies, post frontal, high barometer where your fish don't want to get up off the bottom. I like casting this out, and we do what's called the Jersey retrieve. We cast it out, we let it sink down, and we retrieve it a couple feet off the bottom, really slowly, because your inactive muskies are laying on the bottom, and they don't want to travel 6 feet to hit anything. But they might go 4, and they might go 3, maybe if you were 2 feet away in their face with something that looked really real, you might get a strike, and you do, and so that works well for us. And so that Jersey retrieve, you cast it out, you stick your belly out, you drop your jaw, and you just do that, which we don't do in the musky world. We always do this. But in tough times, that's the attitude of the fish. Another bait that we had really big success this year, Shadzilla, Canadian bait, water wolf lures. As a musky guide, we have to have idiot baits, not because we take idiots fishing, but not everybody has the same abilities. And so you need baits that you can just cast out, and if all you do is retrieve it, it's going to catch fish. If you jerk it, it's going to catch fish. If it's just there, it catches fish on its own. And this is one of those. that tail, all you have to do is cast it out and reel it in, and I tell you, it's easy. It's really easy to fish. You know, you look at this and say, I'm not going fishing with you, John. And you're putting that, I'm not going. I'm not throwing that for a couple hours. But that's easy, and that catches really good fish. Crankbaits are making a comeback. They haven't come to kick us off yet. That's good. Is Ashley close by? Crankbaits are making a comeback. This bait here is made by Mike Spratt in Ottawa. Incredible bait maker. We have a lot of $150, $200 baits, pieces of art. We take these out in hopes of destroying them, getting teeth marks and rash all over them. I don't know, it's a weird world, but Spratt drafted an incredible bait maker, Noah Clark. That's the smallest musky lure I would use. That's a Clarkie bait, again, phenomenal. Canadian-made baits. I feel like we're running out of time, so one of the best tools you can have in your boat. If you don't have a pair of these, people at Ottawa Fish School, the kids that wear these catch twice as many fish as the kids who don't. You just see into the water. You see the fish. You see what's going on. As musky guys, one of the best tools we have are release tools in the boat. If our fish is hooked badly at all, we cut hooks. We don't even wait. Don't think about it. Just cut the hook. Hook costs $1, $1.50. Replace it. The fish is irreplaceable. It's going to take you 10 extra seconds in August to get that hook out, and you're going to rip that fish up doing it. Cut the hooks. This is Nipex cutters. There are nothing better than Nipex for cutting hooks and for cutting big, thick, musky hooks. And if you don't want to have these for the muskie, if you haven't had the pleasure of having a hook in yourself or your friend in the boat, I can tell you that someday you will, and then you're going to remember, oh yeah, that guy said I should have Nipex. Oh man, I wish I had a pair of Nipex. Or you're going to feel really good because you got it. So Nipex, great for the fish and great for you. You got any other baits that we didn't show? Nope. We're past time already. You guys have been, any questions? Don't be shy. Why is gobies? Gobies eat every egg and every muskie that hatches. The goby population, an invasive species, there's 5 or 6 types of gobies in the St. Lawrence. We brought them in when we opened up the St. Lawrence River. There's 33 gobies per square meter on the bottom of the St. Lawrence River right now. If you go out and there's areas that you go out and the bottom moves like it's alive. That's gobies. So when the muskies spawn, they eat every egg and every fish that hatches within minutes of them in the water. So what they're doing is taking muskies with the genetics. Syracuse University is. They rear them at the Thousand Islands Biological Research Station and now in wild ponds to get the muskies used to predator birds, predator fish, other things, and then they put the muskies back in. Interestingly, muskie stocking, you have much better results when you raise fish to a year. It's a very expensive process. Remember I said wild fish fishery, you can't rebuild it? It's a very expensive fish to keep a muskie who only eats live prey around for a year. On the St. Lawrence, they found that they can stock fish this big after the spawning period on traditional spawning grounds, and those fish are big enough to survive. So that's what they're sustaining the fishery with. But without stocking, that fishery disappears. We have gobies in the Rideau River now. Lock 59, 6-7 years now. Dr. Stephen Cook, Carleton University, has transmitters in little tiny gobies, and about 70 of them. In Canada, we watch things and we study things. But every river that gobies have gone into, they have destroyed the fish populations of non-nesting fish. So we have to learn to stock. We have to learn to do something about this, or the Rideau will become just like the St. Lawrence in 20 years.
You got another question?
Well, at what point do you classify a
Sorry?
When does it become a big muskie? Talking about the big boys.
50-inch muskie is the fish of a lifetime for a muskie fisherman who fishes their whole life. If you're an American, like that's your dream is a 50-inch muskie. We get 50-inch muskies most weeks around here. That's how good this is. How big's a big fish? Depends on the fishery. I put up a 35-inch fish and I told you that was the fish of the year for me. You know, so a fish caught downtown in the canal. I've been fishing there since I was a kid. A tiger. And when I know there's a year class, like that's so cool to have in the middle of this city. So it depends where you are, what it is, but 50 inches is that benchmark.
I usually would classify for me on the Ottawa 48 and up. I'll consider that. You know,
I've had 50-inch fish that were barely 20 pounds, and I have a 50-inch fish that died. That's 40 pounds, 13 ounces on my wall at home. That died in the 80s. We didn't. We're better at taking care of them now than we used to be. So it just depends on the body of water, on the shape of the fish, especially the time of year. 1/3 of the weight will be eggs in that fish. How long does a muskie live? 30? 35 years. We have a winner.
I got one more. Are the big fish males or are they females?
Females.
I think you raised your hand first, so.
There you go. Thank you very much for coming out today.
Thanks,
Really
guys.
appreciate you hanging here late in the show. Ashley, I'm so sorry we're making you wait and keep your time. But I plugged you at the start and told them how good you are. You could not spend a better 40 minutes than sitting and listening to Ashley.
Sure.
Afternoon, folks. I'd like to welcome you to the seminar at Kitty's Casting Pond area. In just about 5 minutes from now, we're going to have Ashley Ray up here. She's going to talk to you about trolling for walleyes in the Bay of Quinte. So come on in and grab yourself a seat, and you should pick up some tips as soon as we get rid of these damn musky girls.
Thanks, guys.